special welcome to all of you who are watching us right here on BNN TV, Comcast, Channel 23 in Boston. A very special welcome to all of you who are watching us on the RC worldwide. That's right, folks. The show is now worldwide. And also thanks to Ted Lewis, our show is now on social media. And tonight we're going to talk about the movie industry, we're going to talk about boxing, and we're going to talk about all sorts of fun things. Welcome back. The very first show of our television season. We have very special guests tonight. First of all, Jim Sayer is with me, co-hosting the show. Jim, a very special welcome to you. Thank you so much for, once again, joining us on the show and being our co-host.
Thanks for having me again, John. I know you put up with a lot of stuff from me, but you always seem to bring me back.
Well, we do.
I don't know.
And Jim is going to tell us all about whatever there is to talk about the movie industry here in the Bay State in just a little bit. What I'd like to do is invite our home audience to call up. This is interactive television tonight. As usual, folks, we're going to be taking your calls and talking about what you want to talk about, and you're going to be asking questions to our very special guests. Sitting next to me on my right is Bobby Kenny, no stranger here, folks, to the show. Bobby, welcome to the show.
John, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Third or fourth time right here on
at least,
the show, right?
At least. And I have fun every time.
And we're very happy to have you with us. And then the very first time on our program is Vinnie Fraumeni. Am I pronouncing that correct?
John, thank you for having me.
Vinnie, very, very special. Welcome. Both gentlemen joined Jim and myself on a film a couple of years ago, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And Bobby is going to talk about the films that you've been in and some of the projects that you've done since you've been here the last time, right? And Vinnie's going to talk about boxing and Janus Films and all sorts of things that we're going to be discussing, right? Now we're going to talk to Jim. Jim, all sorts of things happening here in the Bay State, a lot of things happening in Boston. Hopefully, the momentum continues and a lot of things will continue to happen.
Yeah, John, I think Black Mass has put us back on the map. We're off the map, I think, for a little while. The last couple of years hasn't been so good to us.
Well, tonight is the premiere, right?
That's right.
September 18th is the premiere of Black Mass.
And I think that people realize how Boston does have a story to be told.
Right.
And I don't care if it's bad, as Whitey Bulger was, or as good as The Boom, Here Comes the Boom with Kevin James and stuff. There's a medium in there somewhere that shows Boston how diverse we are. We can do anything from any angle, from anywhere. In this, not only Boston, but Rhode Island. They're filming 2 movies up in Rhode Island right now.
Right.
The Purge and Measure of a Man. Donald Sutherland, I believe, is in that one. And that started filming last week, and they're going to continue to November on both movies.
So all sorts of things happening here.
That's right.
And what we're going to do is 617-708-3280. We're going to welcome your calls, comments, concerns, issues, whatever you want to talk about. 617-708-3280. We're cable casting live right here on BNN TV, Comcast, September 18th, 2015. Bobby,
yes.
What's going on?
Well, I just finished a movie called Crossing Paths, written by John K. Fiore, directed by Paul Medico, and camera work by Chris Esper. We just entered this film into about a half a dozen festivals, and we sent it out to all these critics, right? We're getting these great reviews from the critics, and I'm like, are you sure they watched the right movie?
Well,
I'm like all nervous, you know.
We're going to talk a little about that, but for our home audience, when Bobby just mentioned that we had some critics talk about the film, we have one of those critiques tonight, and the audience will have a chance to see
the
that.
video one, yeah,
The video,
you know, and I was surprised, and really I was like, I called John Fiore up, John, did they have the right film? You know, make sure, you know, I don't want to put it on Facebook and say, we're getting great reviews, and they come up with another name, but no, it's the same film. So I said, you know, I'm very happy with that, you know.
Well, John Fiore, he's done a lot of work, and you've worked with him a lot of
Yeah,
times.
he's written.
All his movies are pretty good.
Yeah, he's a great writer. You know, like he says, I have Bobby Kenny in most of my movies. He says, I'd shoot him as a pest if he wasn't such a good actor. He said he just shows up.
Yeah. So.
And you come back.
And I come back. So this film is going into the Portsmouth Film Festival, October 15th through the 18th. I just don't know which day it's being shown. They haven't announced yet with film, but that's the first festival. And then there are others, you know, I can't remember them all, but we have a website, crossingpaths.com, where all the critics, information and the festivals, all the different festivals. So it's a lot of fun. And I just worked with John Depew, and I finished a short movie, Angelo's Revenge. I played Angelo.
Angelo.
Star billing.
It's you know, it's kind of a vignette to another movie he made, Lazarus Rising, which I play the mob boss in. Eric Roberts, Lenny Clark, some pretty good names.
Notable names, sure.
Yeah, and actually, John Depew is in California right now, as we speak, at a film festival out there promoting this film, Lazarus Rising. So I've been keeping busy. I'm happy. I'm fortunate these guys call me, you know, and use me and call me back. So.
But you've been doing it for a while, too.
Yeah, you know, 7 years maybe. I've done about 40 films. A good percentage of them haven't come out, you know. The Independence I did 3 or 4 years ago. And they're still working on them, you know.
That's the nature of the independent.
Right. Yeah, they go in.
If you don't have a budget, you know, if you're
years,
working on a shoestring, God bless them. They're still working on them.
Right.
So, you know, eventually, hopefully they'll come out.
Eric Roberts was one of the best movies I ever saw when he was younger. They cut his thumb off.
Yeah. He's a great actor, you know.
Mickey Rourke, he was in that one. Mickey
Yeah,
Rourke.
right.
And Kevin Bacon, I believe, was in it and stuff years ago.
Yeah, so I was
Good
fortunate
cast.
to be in the same movie with him, you know. And Lenny Clark, he plays a drunken priest. Lenny's hilarious. I love Lenny, you know.
He's good.
Lenny shows up everywhere.
He grew up with us, Lenny, you know. So we have a ball with Lenny. So yeah, you know, I've been fortunate, John, since we last talked, you know. And I worked on movies that you've worked on, but we haven't. I just worked on the Ghostbusters. So did you, but we were on different sets. That's how big a a movie.
That's a major film, and I understand that it's a July 2016 release date at this point. So it's a whole year before it's going to come out, and it'll be a summer release, and hopefully it'll do well. It was a lot of fun, and it allowed people in the area to work. A lot of actors.
Oh yeah. I played a ghost, so you may not see me.
But Jim, 20 million for Black Mass went into the local economy, right?
Yes, it did. It made a big mark for us, which is great. I mean, it shows, you know, like I said, how diverse Boston is. But I think that all that money, and they gave the figures, how much they paid to the union people and the workers, which we all made a lot of good money on. But I think the facts is, in Black Mass, Warner Brothers, which is not union friendly, because they used a lot of non-union people, and that was been on Facebook yesterday. Matter of fact, somebody brought it up, how unfriendly they were to us. And I think that's one of the problems that the union has to, you know, talk to these companies, Sony, Disney, Warner Brothers. When you come in here, you're going to play by our rules, not by the rules you set, you know, in New York or LA. You're going to play by our rules. I think it was 1,800 hours they gave non-union people, which should have been union people should have got, which is a lot of work for us. You know, and I worked on it, but there's a lot of people who were trying to get on it and didn't get on it. That's not right.
How's the film doing now?
Well, tonight's its first night out.
First night, but it got a lot of great reviews in the last couple of days.
It did. I think the New York Times didn't give it a good review because
It's Boston.
Maybe it's because it's Boston, you know. And I think it was because Whitey didn't like the Italians, and he put them in jail, and a lot of people in New York, Italian, probably didn't think it was right. So I think that's one of the reasons why the New York Times just said it was an ordinary movie, you know, but everybody else really liked it.
I heard a lot of great reviews about it.
Yeah, so did I. You know, I can't wait to see it. I wasn't in it. I read for one of the senior FBI agents, and I didn't get it. But the guy that got it's a great actor and a great guy and a friend of mine, so I'm real happy for him. But at least I feel I had a shot at it.
And that's the nature of the business, too. A lot of people go for the same role, of course, and you don't know what.
I was surprised. They called me in for a senior FBI agent, you know. But this guy, you know, I play a lot of the gangster type roles, but, you know, I was happy to get called in. She must have saw me with my glasses on that day and my hair slicked. Said, oh, maybe an FBI agent, you know. But I was happy just to get called in to read. At least you feel like, you know, they know you're there, you know.
But when you get, I got called in to read also.
Did you?
Yeah, and I read for the bouncer at the bar, which Kevin Weeks starts to fight with. And but the whole thing is, when you get called in, you think you'd have another shot at working somewhere else.
I thought for sure.
That's what everybody thinks, and that's not guaranteed. And that's something I don't understand myself.
Well, you, for Black Mass, that was almost second nature to
Right.
you.
I was a
You
bartender.
lived in the area, you bartended.
I bartended in South Boston,
That's
and the
right.
scene they hired me for was a bartender in the bar that Johnny Depp's in, and 3 of the IRA guys come in and Johnny welcomes them, you know.
That would have been perfect for you, you
Yeah.
know?
Vinnie, very first time here on the program. Welcome.
I'm excited. Can't you
And
tell?
we plan to do, Vinnie and I had planned to have you on, we planned to have you on the program for a while, and now that you're here. You have an eclectic background. You're an actor, of
I wouldn't
course.
go that far.
We've worked together on some projects. All 4 of us worked on.
Yeah, we did.
Here comes the boom.
Here Comes the Boom.
Yeah, right.
Been
That's
low.
correct.
We
Been
worked,
low.
all 4 of us worked on that.
Yeah.
You and I were in
That was
the
a
ring.
lot of
We-
fun.
We were in the ring too.
Yeah.
We were ring doctors, right?
I was a judge.
Something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I went around checking everybody's ring, making sure it was okay. They were showing me their rings. I'm the ring doctor. I don't know what it is.
You, an actor. You have a boxing background too. And we're going to talk about that capacity, and also something that was very, very important to people here in the Boston area. And I'm talking about Orson Welles Theater in Cambridge, and a lot of the independent Brattle Street Theater as well in Cambridge. Independent films. We talked about independent
Right.
films, and Janus Films, the distributor of
Yes.
films, had played a role here in Boston, and you played a role with them. And we're going to talk about that too.
I worked, I did work for Janus Films. It started, we were in high school, we were going to the Brattle, friends of mine and I, to the Brattle Theater to catch foreign movies. It was the only theater that would have films with subtitles. And we've got to see some great directors. And the fellow that we worked for, Cy Harvey, he and his partner had been to Europe and met with Ingmar Bergman. And Bergman at the time didn't have a distributor in the United States, so he asked Cy Harvey if he would be his distributor. And they cut a deal over a handshake, and we were distributing Bergman's films, and then we were doing Fellini's films, and Truffaut, and Renoir, and Jean-Luc Godard, many of the great directors, Kurosawa, and so that's how Janus Films.
We're going back to the Seventh Seal too. That was in.
That's correct. Seventh Seal, Persona,
Right.
a lot of great films. And as a matter of fact, one of Bergman's films was up for an Academy Award. He was up for an Academy Award as the best foreign film director of the year. And he couldn't make it. He was working on another project. So we asked Cy Harvey to go to Hollywood and accept the trophy for him, which he did. And it was nice to see your boss up there with his little
Yes.
rented tuxedo accepting the award.
The tuxedo.
And but it was interesting. I went to a lot of screenings in Boston, Paramount, 20th Century Fox. They all had little screening rooms, and I would get a postcard in the mail that there's a new film. Go see it if you like it, book it. And we had a film called Give Her the Moon. It was directed by Philippe de Broca. He did That Man from Rio. He did Cartouche. Films with Jean-Paul Belmondo. Great movies. And we had that as a premiere. And we had another film as the co-feature that we pulled off the shelf called The King of Hearts.
Which was with Alan Bates.
Alan Bates,
Right.
Jean-Pierre Bujold.
Right.
And I found that the audience was liking The King of Hearts more than Give Her the Moon. So we played King of Hearts twice in the evening and Give Her the Moon as the co-feature. So it was getting some track, and after a few weeks, the numbers were starting to dwindle, and I would put an ad when we were using newspapers in those
Right.
days. Last days or final days, people would start coming back. Then film critics started writing about it, and it was getting more track, and it was running 3 months, 6 months.
King of Hearts
It
was very
ended up playing for
successful.
6 years.
Yes.
Wow.
It was-
The longest running film in the history of films. And after 4.5 years, the director happened to be in New York and in Boston, and he came to the Central Square Theater. And I announced to the audience when the film was over, I said, "Don't move, the director's here. He'll answer any questions that you have." And people said, "Wow, what a treat this is. You know, for the price of a ticket, we see a great film and meet the director." And it was
Wouldn't
pretty
happen
cool.
nowadays.
Yeah.
That film played so long in Central Square. I remember seeing The King of Hearts for so long. I thought the theater was closed down and the sign was left up there. That's how long it played.
Was that was the Brattle, is that correct, or was that the Orson Welles?
It was at the Central
Central
The
Cinema.
Central,
Square.
okay, Central Square.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was enormously successful.
Yeah, it became a cult film.
Right.
And but the key to it was the timing. It was
right
in the
after
early
Viet-
70s.
right.
The war was on in
over,
Vietnam,
right.
and the film was about this fellow that he was with the Scottish Army, and he leaves his unit. He gets lost, and he ends up in an insane asylum. The town folks are gone. The people in the insane asylum, they're in costumes, they're playing music, they're dancing, and they're having a great time. And he realized these people aren't so crazy. The people fighting the war are. So
Yeah, there was a social commentary. In
it
that
was
film.
a satire on the lunacy of society.
right. Yeah.
And so the timing was good on it. Great film.
617-708-3280. 617-708-3280. We're going to have our technicians get your your critique already. They're queuing that up. And we're going to be watching a critique of the film again.
Crossing Paths.
Crossing Paths with Bobby Kenny. So get your questions and your comments and everything, 617-708-3280. Jim Sayer and myself bringing the show to you, the very first show of our television season here at BNN TV.
How long is the movie?
Hey everyone, that time once again, Mark the Movie Man here, and the one that I've got for you today is the last in a series of short films that I wanted to review for you this week. Thank you so much. Hope you've enjoyed these reviews and sought out some information about these short films, whatever you can find online. Today we're looking at Crossing Paths. No, it's not a horror film. Hey, we're not all horror, blood, and guts and boobs here. Crossing Paths is a story about a boxer, and this boxer, he's having some troubles, okay, and he soon has some changes in his life that really start making him question, his choices that he's made. But not only that, it brings to light some of the way he's handled things, and then how he could have handled them better. And we see how he deals with all of this, all the while also taking punches from other boxers. But they do find that sometimes the hardest punch isn't from another person, but from life itself. The Crossing Paths, this one was directed, well. Again, I don't review a lot of drama type of films, but I do enjoy them, especially a good one. And Crossing Paths is a good short drama. First off, the way it was shot in the beginning, some of the scenes that they give us of the boxer, as he falls to the mat, and this real contrasting light of light and dark, gives you a very harsh reality a bit in there, and harsh, sharp visuals that they kind of stick with you there and give you the feeling of what this boxer is going through. And we also have a character in the beginning that isn't actually the greatest person, but he's not supposed to be. You're supposed to kind of not like the guy, in all honesty, because he's kind of being a dick. Not just to his traders, but to his wife and that. And you need that. A character that showed up in here that I did not expect, because I'm watching it and it goes along, and there's a character that's a janitor character. Loved the janitor character. Didn't expect him, and when you watch this, you'll see why I really enjoyed him. Just well performed and just a very interesting. I wanted to know more about him. In all honesty, he really was an interesting character to bring in the film, but also key to the plot. Jimmy is the boxer, and he's played by Dan Liebman, and played very well. You felt the inner conflict that this guy had, this rage that he had inside him, but also this conflict of exactly what he's going to do, how he's going to proceed in life, and how he's handled things. And so really well directed film, well paced. Enjoyed the story, loved the camera work that they did in here. There's a great scene in here involving a mirror, and he's standing in front of it, or things kind of in the background, and the camera work in here was handled well. And it's a fun short film. So if you get a chance to see it at a festival, I highly recommend it. No, it's not a horror film, but it is a good drama short film that has an interesting message And at the end, I think you'll be happy you saw Crossing Paths. So check it out if you have. If you have seen Crossing Paths, leave your comments down below. Always love the constructive thoughts from my fellow movie maniacs out there. It's because of you guys I do this. I appreciate everything that you guys do with support, spreading the word about the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you for your support. And as always, remember, keep that ticket.
Hey, Jim, what a comprehensive critique, huh?
Yeah, he was thorough, wasn't he?
He
looked
certainly
like he went
was.
through the whole thing.
The janitor.
I played the janitor. I'm pretty good with a mop now, so if I ever, just in case I need a part-time
We don't want you to
job.
be type. We don't want you to be typecast.
Not
though.
typecast as a
Where'd you get your
janitor.
experience from the Kelly School?
Yeah, the Kelly School mopping the floor. I married that mop. But you know, I'm real excited about this one. For a short movie, it's got a lot of legs.
And this is the one at the festival.
Yeah, this
in
is it.
Portland.
We'll be
Okay.
playing at the Portsmouth Festival,
Portsmouth, okay.
October 15th through the 18th. We haven't nailed down the exact night, but we're all going up there and gonna, you know, we'll have some fun up there.
And those are good to go to. I mean, you support them. Steve Martin, we had Steve Martin on the show, and he put his movie into the festivals, and he went to about 6 or 7 of them. He did real well in, you know,
Yeah.
and he did real well.
I've never been to the Portsmouth one, but they get great restaurants, seafood, you know.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the whole, you know, shebang.
Plus, it's a nice place.
Play it
to
while you're
enjoy.
eating. Let the
Yeah.
people sit there and tip
know,
it, to throw
what-
tips
Eating
around.
clams.
The critique, Jim, was very comprehensive. But I think you might agree on this. I know both of you will agree on this. When critics talk about a film, when they talk about a project, they're looking at it as a finished product. But there's a lot of work that goes into that. There's an enormous amount of work that goes into that. There's pre-production, there's the production, and there's post-production. And the audience sees the final product.
Right.
And there's a lot that does go on there, doesn't it?
Yeah, we worked our butts off because we had the fighter.
Right.
Now he left to go to Thailand for like 8 or 9 months.
So he was out of it, right?
So he was out of it. We had to wait until he got back. He's a great kid, Danny, and you know he had a scheduled thing out there. So
Right.
we waited for him to return to do one scene. The scene they talk about the mirror, you know, in front of the mirror with his wife. So we waited, you know, anxiously for like 8 or 9 months.
Because the film couldn't be complete.
Couldn't be completed without him. So little, you know, that combined with a few other little mishaps, and finally when it comes together, you say, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
you know. And then to get critiques like, you know, we got 7 reviews and they're all positive, it makes it all worthwhile, you know. You say,
Right,
well, it was
right.
all worth it, because you do so many that just
Right.
fall by the wayside, and finally you hit on one that, you know, it's
you're
good,
happy.
and I'm really excited about it, so.
Now, Janus Films is still in existence, isn't it? For the most part, or is it in a different form now?
I think it's in a different form. Cy Harvey, I think I told you, he had left Janus Films up for sale.
Right.
It was bought by somebody, and he got into the soap business.
Right.
But I'm not sure who owns it. But one of the things we were doing years ago was we also created the Bogart festivals. And it was during a reading period at Harvard University. And you had asked me, how are you buying film? And I told you it would be on a percentage basis.
Right.
Except for the Bogart films. There was one fellow in New York, Arnie Jacobs, who owned the rights to about 90% of the Bogart films. And he had them in a garage. So I would call him up and buy Casablanca for about $75 for the week. And after a couple of years, he said,
what a
boy, we're
great
going to have to
film
go
to
up in
have."
price a little bit. We might have to go up to $100. And I would say, Jesus, Arnie, what are you doing to us? You're going to put us out of business. We would have lines out down the street for Casablanca.
Wow.
But
good.
it was a lot of fun. And I think I've seen Bogart films so many times that I could prompt the actors if they blew a line. And but it was good. Those were great days. It was a lot of fun. A lot of things going on in Harvard Square. And
People were more interested in the movies back then, because now technology today, they just get on their iPhones and they just look at things.
Right.
And
That's correct.
but younger kids back then, they wanted to watch, not only watch, but they wanted to contribute. They wanted to grow up being these people.
Right. That's
You know what I'm saying? Today's people, they're just,
Right.
you know, and they're still good today,
Right.
but
And
they're
when
different.
we look at these films like films that you had mentioned, the independent films or the foreign films, they don't have the special effects that the new films have today in the last 20, 30 years. So it's a different dynamic today in the movies.
it is. It is. I think years ago, in a lot of the foreign films, I had this conversation with Chad Verdi last weekend. I met him on Martha's Vineyard. And we were talking about the directors from other countries and the American directors, and people like Fellini and Truffaut. A lot of these films were about the director. You know,
Fellini, too. Fellini especially.
Absolutely, and Francois Truffaut. But today, in the United States, I should say, not just today, but years ago, the directors were following a storyline. And it wasn't really about the director. It was about the characters that were in the story. So it was a bit of a difference there, and but very interesting. And I thought that my interest was in the foreign films because I thought it was more creativity. But as years went on with the cinematography and special effects, Hollywood took off, and it's just unimaginable what they can do.
And appealing to a widespread demographic, too.
Absolutely.
Unlike the foreign films that had a particular demographic of its own.
Right, right.
Well, now they got Star Wars, I think, 8 coming out.
Right.
I think it's Star Wars 8.
Right.
And the director who did Star Wars is what's his name, the original.
Lucas.
George
Lucas.
He hasn't done the last 2 or 3 of them. I think they bought him out. And I think
Well, that's a franchise now.
right, but I think it was he got $3 billion.
Right.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think they said it the other day. I was
Well, that's a
listening.
phenomenally
Like $3 billion
successful franchise.
because he put everything into motion.
Now, you have an eclectic background, meaning that you've been involved with films and you're involved with the boxing world too. But you're an actor of sorts too, because we've worked together in film.
We have.
And you've done a commercial, and people are saying,
Red
hey,
Sox.
The Red Sox.
I still see
and
that.
I know
That was
people at
funny.
home, I know that you're watching, people that are watching us now are saying, you know, I know when I see that commercial, I'll know that I know Vinnie from somewhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our technicians cue up the commercial, and just going to give you the phone number again. It's 617-708-3280, 617-708-3280. Sit back. We'll be back in 1 minute. Let's look at Vinnie.
With the birds.
The Birdman.
Yeah.
That's Vinnie.
That was good. I never saw
Birdman.
that.
I-
How did I
Really?
miss that? Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe I saw it and I just
Didn't realize it
dawn
was-
on me, you know?
It was a lot of fun making it, I'm sure.
It was. We shot on the top of Fisher College.
Oh.
Which
And
on
the owner of
Newbury-
Element, I'm sorry?
Newbury Street, right here in Boston.
Yes, the owner of Element Productions. He said, we're going to have a long day. We started at 6:30 in the morning. We didn't finish my section until 4:30 in the afternoon. So in between takes, I didn't realize it, but this guy was a boxing aficionado, and he heard that I had a bit of a boxing background, so the day went by beautifully.
Right.
We talked about fighters from today, years ago, and gave our little ratings and all that kind of
Now,
stuff.
those are all trained pigeons, right?
Well, they're
Trained.
I forget the name for
homing
them.
pigeons,
Homing
maybe?
pigeons, yes. And they're brought up from New Jersey. And they had to show me how to hold them because I've never picked up a pigeon in my life, and I didn't realize that their heads turn around 360 degrees.
Wow.
So as we're, setting up a shot, I'm holding a bird. In the meantime, his head turns around and he's pecking at my hands.
You think you're killing us?
And one bird, I think I squeezed a little too tight, and his head tilted. And I said to the woman, I
was
think
he all right?
we need a replacement
Oh,
here.
okay.
And she said, oh boy. And so she grabbed the straw and put it in his beak and blew in some air, and he come back to life. But it was
CPR.
crazy.
Did
She
they
said-
fly back to New Jersey?
They did. They flew back to New Jersey.
Wow.
By
I
themselves?
said, I can't get myself back to
they had
Cambridge.
help.
How the hell are they getting back to New Jersey?
By themselves.
We couldn't find John's studio today, but these birds could fly back to New Jersey.
617-708.
How many birds were there? Did you lose
They
a bunch?
brought in 3 dozen.
Wow.
They figured some are not going to make it.
Well, we know one almost didn't.
That's right.
617-708-3280. 617-708-3280. The last half of the show here, our very first show on BNN TV for the new television season. Jim Sayer and myself. We have a lot of good shows coming up. We have Frankie and Chris on October 23rd. We have a very special surprise on November 13th, and The Magic of Steve Charette, December 11th, with guest London Hall.
Nope.
And we have a show in January 8th, and then one on February 5th. So all sorts of fun things happening. You have to come back.
Yeah.
Bobby
Oh,
and
absolutely,
Vinnie, you
yeah.
have to come back. We have all sorts of things happening here.
Yeah.
And London Hall will be levitated right here on this set
All right.
on December 11th by the magic of Steve Charette.
Steve is great. I saw him.
Charette will be here.
I worked with him.
Did you?
At the airport with Vince Vaughn's movie, Business Trip. He
Yes,
was at the
yes.
airport. I ran over and bought a deck of cards just so he could entertain us.
He was
At
good,
the
He's
right?
very, very good.
Oh, yeah,
And
he's great.
All sorts of things happening here. A very special hello to all of our friends at Six Flags New England. I had a chance to go up there and do an article on Wicked Cyclone, and that's an interesting ride, folks. And also,
So that's right up your alley.
Yes,
you,
I did a
you
re-
love
I
them.
re-
You go Ohio. Didn't you go to Ohio for
no,
one?
I wanted to go to Ohio, but I did go to Lake Compounce in Bristol, Connecticut. So a very special hello to all our friends down in Lake Compounce in Bristol, because a lot of people are watching. And I went on the Wildcat, which was designated a very special, had some special award by the Roller Coaster Enthusiasts of America, and also the Boulder Dash, which twice was nominated for #1 roller coaster on the planet. Jim?
Did you go on that?
Yes, 10 times. First and last seat.
Where's that one?
It's in Bristol. It's It's the oldest amusement park in the United States.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah. So all sorts of things happening here in New England, and specifically right here in Massachusetts, specifically right here in Boston, right here as we speak and as we sit, projects are happening too. Jim, Ghostbusters just finished
Yeah,
filming.
Ghostbusters was here for a while.
Wow,
They used
17
a lot
weeks.
of people.
And a lot of things are happening in the next couple of months, and we want to keep these tax breaks coming,
You do.
right?
You want to talk to your representatives.
Right.
Keep them informed. Keep them, even though we signed an agreement to continue with the tax incentives.
Right.
You have to stay on top of them with your representatives.
Right, now is that like until the next budget comes up? Is
Yes.
that what that's all
Yeah,
about?
that's what it's about.
Okay.
It comes, I think, 2 years. I think it's
years.
every 2
2
years
years.
they look at it again.
Yes.
That doesn't mean they're going to take it away or they're going to add something or subtract something, but they do take a good look at it, and the representatives you have to talk to.
Yeah, so if you're talking to your state rep, these are your state reps now, and your
right.
state senators here in Massachusetts. Say, hey, look, we're glad that you continue to have the tax breaks for the movie industry here. We'd like to keep doing that because, as we mentioned, $20 million for Black Mass right here in the local economy.
That's right.
Plus, a lot of the actors, a lot of the ancillary businesses that are involved and surround the movie industry here, right?
And
also
they
actors.
filmed that in a lot of different places.
Right.
Between I worked at the one in Brighton, I think was it Brighton. I think I worked as the bar. That's
Right.
Triple O's. But they worked at a lot of different places, so it's just not in one area. So a lot
It's
of people,
it's statewide.
from
Yeah.
Revere to South Boston to
Right.
certain areas, they
Right.
work. Quincy, they used a lot of the different towns. A lot of people think it was mostly in South Boston. They used South Boston just a very little. They surrounded
Really?
different areas, and that's how they do things. They don't put all the money, doesn't go to one place. Surrounding towns get a piece of this. And that's what you really want. When you do a movie, you want to see everybody get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, because, and it also, #1, folks, tourism. People see Massachusetts, they see Boston, they say, hey, I want to visit. That's a great place to visit. You have a boxing background, too, a little
do.
bit. A little
Yeah,
bit.
I was a boxing official for a few years.
Yeah.
I've been around the sport most of my life.
And that's where the fighter fit in, and here comes the boom.
Yeah,
and-
actually, when they were 3 months before, 3 or 4 months before they started shooting the fighter, I got a call from Mickey Ward, who's a personal friend of mine, and he wanted to borrow some 12-ounce yellow gloves, boxing gloves that I had. They needed to authenticate one of the
the fights.
fight scenes. So they came down to the gym the next day. I gave them the gloves, and the set director said, can you go down to Boston Casting? We need a commissioner. And at the time, I was on the boxing commission. We need somebody to sit at ringside for some still shots. So I went down there, and they asked me if I could audition for Fight Train. I said, easily. And I did it, and I nailed it. And Angela had me all excited and ready to go as Mickey Ward's trainer. So I told her I wasn't an actor, but she said, you're going to be an actor. I got into improv course and film acting class, and 3 months each one, and got going, and at the last minute, Wahlberg, I guess, talked to Mickey O'Keefe, Mickey
police
Ward's
officer.
real trainer, who didn't want to be in the film. So he got to play himself, and I did background in the movie. And I think that's where I met you on that set.
That's right. I met you.
Yeah.
in the-
So that
We
was
worked on
that was
that
it with
set,
that.
too.
But I just finished Bleed for This
In Rhode Island.
in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Great film. And I read for a part in that movie, which I did not get. I wanted to be one of Vinnie's uncles in a social club. And somebody else got it. I didn't. And they asked me to be a boxing judge in the movie, which I did. And while I was judging, the director, he wanted some information on different things to authenticate, to make the fight scenes look real. And he asked me if I could give him a hand, which I did. And so it turned out pretty good. It was a lot of fun shooting down there. Good people to work with. And,
Yeah, we had a ball. I bumped into him again on the set. You know,
Yeah.
Jim and
Yeah.
I worked one day on that.
Yeah,
Well,
I-
we worked in the
Good time.
arena, right? Right before Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
I got
Oh,
to
you
meet
did?
Chad
Yeah.
Verdi on the set, and I bumped into him on Martha's Vineyard this past weekend.
Yeah.
Very interesting guy. He's got some great movies coming up.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be working on one with Martin Scorsese next spring. They're going to be shooting in New York. The title is still under wraps.
Of course,
But
sure.
Well, Ghostbusters that's just filmed here we were supposed to be in New York. So when you see the movie, you
Yeah.
watch the movie Ghostbusters, you'll think it's
Times Square.
Times Square,
Yeah.
which actually everything was filmed in Boston.
Yeah,
They
we
used-
filmed in front of a huge green screen, 2 walls.
Yeah, yeah.
They had it marked up, so that'll be New York in the background.
Right.
That's what they
Well,
told
I
us.
was the driver in a van, one of the TV vans. The license plate said New York, and the side said
really?
WLPX, New York City and stuff. I pulled up. And,
we did The Judge. We shot out in Sherborne Falls.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Then back to Westwood for some inside shots. And that was fun.
Yeah, the
Movie to
Judge,
work with.
that was a good movie.
And Plymouth was a location too, I think.
Right.
Plymouth
Yes.
had a few,
That's
few
correct.
scenes.
Dedham,
Yeah.
they used the courthouse.
So there's all sorts of things all over the state going on with the movie
Yeah.
industry.
Absolutely.
Well, I think, like everybody thinks that Boston's, slowing down, which we did have a slow period. But I think after this tax incentive things, which does take a little steam out of everything, you'll see more movies coming here.
And we have a movie studio with Chris Byers. Chris Byers came on the program a year ago.
Yeah.
At Fort Devens, right, Jim?
That's right.
Yeah.
So you
Now,
want-
aren't they putting together a big movie production facility there?
That's there. That's already
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
built,
That's built.
yeah.
Have
Yeah.
they produced anything out of there?
There are people using it. I don't know how much they've actually used, but it's been open for about, it opened up last
Oh,
Christmas.
yes.
It opened up last Christmas. It's in operation.
Yeah.
How much is out there and how much they've done, I'm not quite sure, but it's operational at this point.
Well, The Longest Hour will be coming out.
You worked in that, right?
I did.
Yeah, that was filmed
was-
right before Christmas. Was that shot before Christmas here in
Weymouth.
Weymouth?
In
Quincy,
Quincy. I was in
Weymouth.
Quincy, and it was. I never been so wet in all my life. They put us on the boat. They used the inside the where they make ships in Quincy shipyard, and they had a tank that was 11 feet deep, and it was 150 feet by 80 feet. It was 11 feet deep.
My son helped build that.
Did he?
Was that the finest hour?
Finest hour.
Finest
Excuse me.
hour.
Finest hour.
Yeah, a
And,
Disney movie,
We had to
right?
get on a boat to
Right.
get out to the boat. And now you're inside a thing. It's a big tank.
That
That's all
sounds
is.
it, yeah.
You had to get on a boat to get out there because it was 11 feet deep. And one of the scenes you'll see in the movie, I was doing stand-in and I was doing photo op too. And I go in the water off the side of the boat to lift somebody up and put him in the water. And I was never so wet in all my life. The water was hitting me because they can make artificial waves.
Right.
They have these big things that the boat was tilting.
Right.
And I kept on going in the. I kept on losing the guy because the water, the waves. So he's looking. He goes, "Where's your hand?" And I'm like, "Where are you?" And he was in the water drowning, and I'm going. I can't get him. So they had to slow down the waves, so the boat wouldn't tilt so much, so I could reach down
Really?
with another guy, and we pulled him into the boat. And that was. I mean, they gave us wet outfits. You had to, the clothes they give you. Then they put a wetsuit on underneath you. But that didn't even help.
Is that-
We were out on the boat for 4.5 hours.
Is that going to be released soon, do you think?
I think it's coming out in March or April, I think.
Oh, so it's going to be fairly,
Yeah.
well, 6 months from now, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was cold. They had to keep the temperature because they wanted to see people's breaths like it's real.
Right.
So the temperature in the building was 48 degrees, around about 30, between 38 and 48 degrees. So they can see the breath and stuff like that.
It was cold. We
It was
worked
cold.
5 or 6 days down in Chatham
Yeah.
in that movie in the
Yeah.
middle of February.
And those are,
Yeah.
was those overnight?
Yes.
Yeah, they
overnight
were
scenes?
overnight. I think 5 or 6
Yes.
overnights, and there was a gap in between that you got a day off in between. So we're down there, we're staying at a motel. But cold, John,
Yeah.
Timmy, the coldest,
Yeah.
Of course, this was
I'd
like
never
the
been so
coldest winter
wet.
ever in the history of
Yeah.
Boston, pretty
and we're in
much.
Chatham in February.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And they had people walking out to the docks, to the tip of the docks
Yeah.
in that movie.
Yeah.
And those people said they were never so cold either. And they give them nice, heavy clothes, but it was just so cold
didn't
down
matter.
there.
It was freezing. There
Yeah.
was a spray, in the
Right,
water. We had to
right,
walk out to the dock, and then back. And we're walking through all these antique cars, older cars. They don't have catalytic converters. It's
You
But
know,
that movie got a lot of great reviews.
Right,
He's been,
right.
Did it?
Oh yeah. Casey Sherman wrote the book, and I seen him come on his, Facebook with them. He's been out to L.A. He's been everywhere.
Really?
Great reviews. The movie.
Oh, that's good.
So you see these critics and critiques, and they do a great job in reviewing. Some of them may not like the production that they're reviewing, but they don't realize everything that goes into making a movie.
Yeah, exactly. But to get 7 good reviews out of critics, I don't know.
You must have been
what-
doing something, right? Or the director was doing
Yeah,
something, right?
I mean, I'm thinking 7 out of 7. That's to me that's mega bucks.
Right,
Like
right,
hitting mega bucks. So we're all excited, and John's already thinking about turning it into a feature if it's received well at the festivals, and he thinks it's worthwhile, which I think it is. Turn it into a feature film.
So to do these movies, you got to have the love of the job.
Oh yeah.
You have to love your job.
Yeah,
'Cause a lot of
absolutely.
time it's not the pay or anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
It's that you love acting
Right.
and you like to participate in such things. I mean, the people who do the film, the camera work and the film or the
Absolutely.
boom, those people love their jobs also.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I think it's fascinating to just be on a set and be this close to
Fellow
a
actors
director,
and people that are making the
directing, or
movies,
Martin
production, of
Scorsese,
course,
I-
yeah,
I
of
was
course.
on
like
Shutter
Kaminsky.
Island.
The
Great
cinematographer, right?
cinematographer.
Yeah.
I mean, he did the Judge, and he did Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List,
Yeah.
and very prominent cinematographer. And I never realized until you're really that close to a cinematographer or a director what's really involved and how anal they are about lighting.
Right.
It's
The least
incredible.
little thing, yeah.
And,
Sound.
and when you think about it, without any of those people, you don't have the completed product, because everybody plays a role in a very intricate role
Absolutely.
does.
in these
Absolutely.
productions. I mean, one person is as important as the other. And all of these different things coalesce. They come together and they create the vision that the director has. And
When
then
you first start working on these movies, you never see so many people working in the
Right.
background.
Right.
Exactly.
And I always said, when are they going to start falling over each other? But they are so good. Everything's timed.
know exactly what they're
know-
doing, right.
They're so professional. I've never seen anybody fall over. But the people are walking. We all see the cameramen on the tracks. And nobody ever falls over those tracks except when they're walking to get there. Everybody steps.
everybody
but
has
when
their
they're doing-
specific
that's
area, right?
Everybody
They know
has a
their
job.
jobs, that's for
Yeah, they
sure.
do.
Everybody has a specific job, and they know it well, you know.
Vinnie, what's coming up with you? Anything in the future that we can be looking forward to?
Bleed for This will be coming out,
Right.
I think, next spring. I think they held it back before releasing it earlier because there are a couple of other films that were going to conflict with it. But that should be out in the spring. I'm looking forward to that,
Yeah.
hoping I can get some more work after that. Other than that, I don't have any other films going, nothing in the works.
Okay.
But
Well, we like to all work. That's what we like to do.
Yeah,
that's
I
for
know.
sure.
Well, that's the importance of the tax breaks, yeah.
Yes.
Bobby, what about yourself? I know you're involved with a lot.
Yeah, I don't know what I finished all my projects, so I think I'm just going to do some work in my basement. I'm trying to finish my basement and make a studio, and set up the cameras, have some workshops and stuff, you know. So I've been lagging behind there because I've been so busy.
Well, that's good.
So it's almost completed. You know, I dug it all out, cement. I had the guy down there yesterday, the plumber. I want to get that going and just, you know, like me and Vinnie a few guys mess around, make a few commercials like with the pigeons, you know.
Well, you might have
Got
to
a
be
few
outside.
parakeets,
You
you
might
know.
have to be outside for that. If
We
they're
can
home
get
business.
we can get parakeets, you know. Vinnie will let them go.
But in all seriousness, though, people do things. People do make movies at their homes. People are involved with all sorts of things locally.
If you go on YouTube, you see it all,
Right,
all the time.
right, right.
Everybody on YouTube nowadays just they use their iPhones now to make movies and
Yeah,
stuff.
you
I
know.
seen a kid, they had a commercial the other day, I saw it. The kid has his iPhone, he's in a chair like this with wheels, and someone's pushing him, and he's doing a scene. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how easy it's starting to make them.
Right, and you know, as Jim and I often talk about, because we've had even students here from Emerson College, and many students are watching the show now from Emerson, but we always like to encourage our young people to get involved with the business. And people have come on here from Emerson and from various places, young people, and they've made movies, they've made independent films, they're involved with it, and this is where the talent is. People are involved with it, they love this business, they want to continue doing things in the business, and they need the encouragement.
If you have a
That's
passion,
important.
follow
They
it.
have that passion for it.
Yeah.
And Emerson College, I mean, how bigger can you get as
Yeah.
far as the entertainment industry than Emerson College? But we also have a thriving theater district, right? Right, Jim? We have a thriving theater district here, and mainly we have a great city that has been very appealing and attractive to the motion picture industry. And we can just go back 5 or 6 years and see that in many films that were filmed and shot right here in this area right here where you and I are sitting. Here Comes the Boom, The Zookeeper. Zookeeper was shot mere feet from here.
Really?
And and that made Boston shine. And that's why we have to continue to bring in.
They love to use the Zachem Bridge. All the movies that now.
Yeah,
they-
because that's
they
such a
go-
world famous
good
bridge,
backdrop.
right?
They always shoot it from up above.
Yeah.
It's looking down over the colors of the
It'll be a
Zachem
great
Bridge.
shot,
It's a
yeah.
great shot. You know, in The Departed, I watched The Departed the other day. Jack Nicholson comes over, and the Zachem
Right,
Bridge.
and
is
not
in the
only do we
background.
have like the logistics and the look of the city and the feel of the city, the ambience, but we also have the historical background that is appealing to a lot of these different.
Right.
And the people that make these movies often, we're talking about the Wahlbergs now, and Arthur's been on the show with you,
Yeah,
you know,
right,
on the
right,
program.
right.
People who are Affleck, Damon, and all these people that are actually city boy. Damon and Affleck, right from your hometown,
Cambridge.
Cambridge.
We're both from Cambridge.
You know,
They're from
they're
Cambridge,
hometown boys, and they've made good,
Right.
and they're coming back to Boston, and they're making it shine, and that's important, right?
Well,
Jim?
The Equalizer, I watched. I don't know if you saw The Equalizer. That was
With
filmed in
Denzel
Boston,
Washington, right?
Denzel
That was in
Washington.
Dorchester. Part of that was in
That was a
Dorchester.
great movie.
Right.
He plays that role real good. He's real good in that. And now I know that from words I've talked to somebody, and they're going to make a part 2 to it.
Are they really? Yeah.
They
that's
And
already
look
great.
at-
got you got a script and everything.
Sandra Bullock loves this city.
Yes, she
She's made
does.
several films here.
Melissa McCarthy, same thing.
Ghostbusters, right?
Yep. But I think that's going to be a good one. If they can get The Equalizer 2 here, that's be tough. You know, because at the end of the movie, he walks away and stuff.
Right.
That was a good movie. You see a lot of Boston in that.
It's always important, folks, to foster the entertainment industry and have the movie industry come here to Hollywood East, is it? People talk about Hollywood East because we make a lot of films here. And it's important for you to talk to your state reps and your state senators at the state level and say, hey, look, let's keep these movies coming here. Let's promote the tax breaks. Let's make sure that the tax breaks continue to go forth because we want to see movies here. We want to see actors work. We want to see businesses reap the benefits of the movie industry here. And most important, folks, most important is that people worldwide see Boston for what it is, the beautiful city that it is, with all the historic background and the ambience on screen or on television. You know, you're watching television right now, right here at BNN TV. What you're watching is coming into your homes. Well, these movies are coming into your homes and movie screens worldwide.
Or on the
And it's
internet. You can watch it on the
and
internet.
and promoting our city, right,
And
Jim?
like you said, one movie gave us $20 million.
Right.
What if we have 5 movies? $100 million that goes in the coffin for everybody. It's just not one set. It goes a lot of money, goes a lot of different places. That helps on the tax breaks.
Right. Now, we only have a few minutes left. Is there anything that you want to talk to our home audience about? Anything happening here with you in Cambridge, Boston that people should be
No,
aware of?
I just
Ask for a plumber. See if there's a plumber
I need a
out there
plumber. I
watching.
just finished with the plumber. I might need an electrician.
You've been doing that for a while. You've been
The last
working
time
on
here,
this
you
summer-
said you were
yeah,
selling
I
for a
dug
while,
the
right?
whole thing out myself. I might need an electrician. We can barter somehow. I'll get
Did
you
you
in a
dig
film.
the floor down? Take the floor
I
out? You
took
lowered
it down,
right?
yeah. I dug it out by hand.
kidding me?
Buckets. I poured the underpin, the foundation. I did the walls. I dug out. You don't know what I did.
Well, you know, Bobby's getting in shape for his next major motion picture.
Right.
Is that right, Bobby?
Vinny's going to train me as a fighter.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Make a comeback like Stallone.
Yeah,
He's
Stallone.
making another one. His son's fighting.
Is
The
he
new
really?
Stallone movie's coming.
Yeah.
Oh,
His
really?
son fights.
People sitting at home right now are saying, hey, Jim, hey, Vinny, hey, Bobby, hey, John, if I wanted to contact you, if I wanted to say,
Well,
hey,
what
Vinny,
they should contact is Boston Casting,
LDI casting,
LDI
CP
Casting,
casting.
CP Casting. If you're young and you want to get in the business, or older, you know, we're all older here.
If
You-
they want to get into something, I'm on Facebook, and I can send them, I can guide them in the right directions, because I've been through it all, so I can save them a lot of time. But Boston Casting is definitely
Right, but also just being on Facebook, social media is so important. And Jim and I can tell you, as you well know, the show is on Vimeo and YouTube and all these other social, thanks to Ted Lewis. We're out there, folks, we're worldwide, and thanks to Ted. But if people follow you on Facebook, and they're interested in the business and they're interested in what you're doing,
Yeah.
they're interested, pretty much people understand what you're involved with and can follow your career too, right?
You know, they can get involved in the movie business very easily. Just start with a class at Boston Casting. They meet people. There are other people there that are going to be making films, and that's really where
It's
I make-
networking.
It's
is.
networking is what it's all about. But if they want to get a hold of me on Facebook, they have any questions at all, just feel free to ask. I'm, you know,
Bobby Kenny.
I'm there.
Bobby Kenny, right?
That's the
Kenny.
electrician.
If you're an electrician, call me.
Vinny, if somebody wanted to contact you about boxing or had questions about something that they
Sure, I could help them
felt
out.
that you wanted to help them with?
It would
or-
be vinnyMMA@hotmail.com.
Okay.
I'm not on Facebook yet, but I will be.
Never been on Facebook.
We have to get them hooked up, Jim.
3 years ago, I asked him. What do you know? But you
I was
could.
afraid that I might say something
Nah,
that
nah.
I shouldn't say,
Nah.
So
and
that's-
everybody in the
I've done all
world
that.
would
Believe me,
know
I've
it.
done all that.
You were not even
Well,
close to me.
yeah, the
Trust me when I say
Facebook
it.
usually, and I'm on Facebook as well, but we use it mainly for professional reasons.
I
And,
understand,
I promote, for example, today, with the help of Bobby and myself promoted the show because we want people out there to say, hey, look, I'm interested in film, perhaps I'd like to watch the show and see what these guys are talking about tonight. Or when they watch, we have a special show coming up, folks, in October. Jim and I, Frankie and Chris,
Who's going to cook?
who's going to cook.
Who's going to bring food in?
And,
You know
kidding.
Frankie. You know Frankie?
Frankie's
He's a professional.
Mbagara.
Mbagamo.
And
He's been on.
Great cook.
He's been
Yeah.
on. What's his name? Emerald
Chris.
show in New York.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
gone to New York and he won awards.
And Chris
He shot
Palermo.
on-
Yeah,
Emerald.
Chris
He's a
Palermo.
famous cook.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been on his show, cooking for him.
Wow.
And he's been on the
So
show.
they're going to be here. They came on. They came on our Christmas special last December. So now we're going to have
Perfect.
them on, and probably our Halloween special. And then the magic of Steve Charette. London Hall
forward.
joined
I
us
saw
last year. She joined us on our holiday show last year. No, not on our holiday show. Our first show of 2015, and he's going to make London levitate right here on BNN TV. So we expect to see you October 23rd. 2015, Jim and myself. Good night. See you next month.